Well, I did it again. Um, this is episode 18. Um, just want to be very clear. Um, Getting over a sickness. I shot an episode when I was really sick, um, and it wasn't my best work. And so I just want to be very like upfront, saying that I took that off the timeline. And I know I don't even know how I feel about it. I guess when I think about that episode when I was sick, I was taking like NyQuil and I was just saying crazy stuff and I was in my feelings and I was really talking a lot really negative about myself. And I thought that would be a powerful episode to show because it's not always like perfect episodes that you see here. Just for the record, that was my first time removing an episode. So my wife's was episode 18 and then I shot one and then I was getting sick and then I was like super super sick with my episode with my wife, and then I was just reviewing the videos, and I was like, and not more like just like monitoring it. I was like, damn, like the sniffling or like the coughing in the background, like the episode with me and my wife, I was like coughing hella, but then like I don't really edit the videos, but for some reason I edited or like I reviewed like episode 17, and yeah, I was just not liking what I was seeing, and I was it was early morning and I tried to like push through and just try to put everything together, and I was like all messed up because of the NyQuil from the night before, so it was crazy. So I was just starting to get sick. Um, yeah, and I just want to let you know that I'm just redoing it. Um, it was 30 minutes. It wasn't anything. Hopefully one day maybe I can like show it here on this podcast, but yeah, it was 30 minutes. It was not my best work. It was a lot of dead space. I was really having like a lot of brain fog. I thought it was gonna be moving as an episode for you can see that I don't want to say the vulnerability, but like what I go through to like kind of amp myself up to kind of keep going. But I did like 32 minutes, and maybe hopefully I'll release it. But I did say some crazy stuff. I did talk about a lot of um just things I haven't really talked about, and things I was going through. Last week, 2 weeks ago, dude, I've been sick for a while, but yeah, I got, I was, I got sick. I got sick. The week after that, before that, I was, I don't know if I shared it with my wife in that episode, but I had an allergy attack or allergy incident. Um, yeah, I get routine shots at UCSF. I've been doing that for 3 years, and the timeline's for 5 years. And it was routine. I had my daughter with me. We were gonna go to Golden Gate Park, and everything. I mean, everything was great on my side. Um, yeah, I got a shot, and then the doctor, not the doctor, the nurse that admitted the shot. He was very like, oh, like this like impact area is bigger than normal, and so I kind of and he was like, oh, just when you get to your car, just make sure you take an Allegra. I was like, yeah, that's fine. Get in the car, everything's good to go. My eyes started getting itchy, and I was like, all right, well, it's allergies, right? And so I didn't even get to Larkin Street, and my eyes started puffing up, and it was a bad time. I was like, there was a lot of, not to get too graphic, but there was a lot of discharge coming out of my eyes, and my eyes were super puffy, and I was like, I wasn't crying, but I was like wiping off, stuff out of my face, and my daughter was asleep. We didn't even get to Golden Gate Park. I had told her when we in the parking lot that like you're gonna wake up and we're gonna be at Golden Gate Park, so take a nap. And I kind of like lied to her basically. And so yeah, and then I pulled over. I was on Larkin Street, and man, it was. I called my wife. She was like the first one I called. I was thinking about what it looks like to you just never really want to be in that situation, especially with your daughter in the back. Your eyes are swelling up. You can't see. And then my throat, my throat was like shortness of breath, and like I started like freaking out. And then my wife was like, "Oh, call 911 and call the UCSF back." Called UCSF back. They told me that, oh, you're having anaphylactic shock, and I was like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that entails. The sniffling, so I'm still getting over this little cold, but yeah, it was interesting. And then the doctor or the nurse or the the representative wanted to call me an ambulance, and I was like, nah, like fuck that. Like I'm like 5 minutes away from UCSF, so I drove myself back. Daughter was still sleeping. Parked the car at the emergency bay. Got through the security. I couldn't see out of my eyes. The security guard was like, just go through, because I had I had MJ's diaper bag with me. So yeah, it was a lot. And then immediately, like everyone at the nursing like station, like right when you go in there, they're like, "Oh, you're going through something," and then they kind of got me through the emergency room so super quick. But yeah, that was So yeah, I mean, now I have an EpiPen. I don't know, and I put this all in my story, so you probably already heard that story, but yeah, no, and then I got sick. Yeah, I got sick. Like it was building up. Like people at work know that I was like, I don't really wear a mask, and then I was like wearing a mask, and I was like, damn. So I started getting sick, and then I was like fighting it for so long, but I had to do the podcast. So then I started like not dousing, but like taking a lot of like NyQuil to kind of preventative, but it was too late. I was very sick. And I tell you that story to tell you that, yeah, I pulled an episode off of this, and I do feel hella guilty about it because I feel like the authenticity is like removed now, but I think that's just me. I don't want to say this is always my best work when I put it up here, but I'm saying, I don't know. At least I feel good about it. When I'm done, I press the record button, and then when I'm done with it, I at least know that when I import it, export it, like I'm like, okay, like I know I didn't say anything too foul. So, yeah. I knew it was a bad episode when I couldn't even get through like 15 minutes. So, yeah. And the stuff I was talking about, I was really in my feelings. I was caught up in a negative space, and it's for me, it's really hard to bounce back out of that. I really got to take some time for myself and be like, yo, I'm not doing anyone else any favors, especially if I'm around my wife and kids. Like, it's naive to say that I don't have negative moments or negative thoughts, but it's what I do, and with those negative thoughts, how do I react? And yeah, I think I was just pushing the envelope on episode 17, and yeah, I'm glad I pulled that episode. I just wanted to be very upfront. Pulling an episode is never fun. When with the Faboom podcast, there was a episode where I was in the same situation. So, yeah, I pulled an episode because I was super sick, but we had the podcast, and I rarely cancel plans, and so we pushed through. But I had taken hella NyQuil or Dayquil, and I looked like shit. It was like midday, and like I remember I opened the door for Sean, and Sean was like, "Did you just wake up?" And I was like, "No, I've been awake, but I look like shit." And yeah, it was bad, man. And so yeah, so I just so I'm just switching the order up. Yeah, last week was 2 episodes of my wife, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to be on this podcast to like, just explain myself, but here I am explaining myself. So, God, so sorry for the sniffling. I hope I got the sound right, Nelson. Hopefully, if you listen to the podcast, hopefully the sounds better in my ear. I can see it better. Just tweak the gain, but we'll see. I also noticed on the podcast, I'm always looking at the iPad to see myself, so it's not really like talking to the camera. But it sounded better, it sounded good on Spotify. So, anyways, Um, what do I want to talk about today? I've had a eventful couple 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We're wrapping up April. It's April. Yeah, it's April 28th. This is episode 18. Um, yeah, I think me and my wife are gonna shoot one more episode together. I think I'm gonna. Well, I already talked about it with my wife on that episode where you know not I don't want to say unfortunately. I don't think the door is closing, but this chapter of doing the nothing but heart with getting guests over, getting really kind of getting things going with the interviews. I think that will be kind of on pause while the new baby arrives. Um, so yeah, just kind of chill out on this stuff. Makes me sad, of course, but I think we're gonna shoot episode 19, just me and my wife, and then episode 20 to kind of like wrap it up here, and kind of like think about thoughts. And I'll have like I don't think I'll freestyle that. I think I actually will have like something I want to talk about. Um, that's something I talked about in the episode that I pulled was, yeah, next time I do this, I need to have like an actual agenda or like topic list. Um, all this is freestyle, Um, but yeah, you know, I I think I want things to change, and I believe that more I say it out loud, I think things will change. I don't know who said this, but the quote in my head that just keeps going in my head is like, "If I think, therefore I am," or some shit like that. But I really do believe that like there is gonna be a change soon. I do feel a change. Um, oh god, um, I do feel a change. Sorry, it's garbage day. I do feel a change. I don't know how to really describe it. It's in my stomach. It's in my head. I can feel the change coming. Obviously, with a new baby, with a new lifestyle, the dynamic in the house is different. But I feel the change and like I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that there's gonna be a change, and if I keep saying it out loud, I know that the change will be for good. And I've been trying to like prep myself for this change. Like I'm taking social media more seriously this time around. After many years of trying to do social media consistently, this is the first time I'm actually like legitly content calendar, research, curating, collaborations, video. And like, one thing that I'm still super scared of or like nervous about is, talking on the camera, posting that on the internet. But, I realize that Instagram, well, I mean, at least from what I've researched, is that Instagram, rewards consistency. And so I got to get out of this realm of like being perfect and editing, re-editing, editing, making sure everything's perfect. Because then, you get a glimpse of my life, but it's also like, it's not realistic. I think that we're in an era of like the rawness, and I really got to lean into that. And, I knew that there was going to be a change, obviously with the baby, but, having podcast, the guests on here on this podcast, they've given me a lot of insight to make me reflect on the opportunities that I have and the things that I need to start getting after. One thing that I can safely say was like Nelson and Christian, they told me, they gave me a lot of, I don't want to say praise, but they gave a little bit of shout outs about social media and just putting myself out there. And I really, really don't think of it that way. I think of it like it's something I've always done. People who know me, from high school, they knew that when Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, all that stuff was out, I was on there. And on our yearbook, I think I won like most likely to be on the internet, something like that. So I love social media. I'm not new to this media stuff, the entertainment. Like I like it. Um, have I ever taken the next step to take it seriously? No. Does that make me kind of sad? Because I remember when Vine was coming out, And I remember I was at Skyline College, and I was in one of the, I was in the library, and I was in one of those like quiet rooms, the clear, not clear, but like the see-through rooms where you can do homework. And I was with, I think I'm gonna name drop right now, but I was with Stephanie Pineda, and I was with Angelica, and I don't even know why I fucking dropped the last name. Sorry, but anyways, we were studying, quote unquote, and there was different apps before Vine, which was like the 7 second stuff. But I was doing stop motion. I was like, making just silly videos. And I remember I loved it, and you kind of just, back then you didn't really think about the impact it was gonna have. You just kind of like threw it out there. Yeah, I don't think, I mean, shit, the stuff I said on Tumblr, obviously will always will always follow me around. But I'm a big believer that my actions, my one action in the past does not define me. So I'm not really tripping about that. But if you go to my Tumblr, sorry, I think it was like one heartbeat at a time or something like that. But yeah, it was my Tumblr. But yeah, no, I've said some crazy stuff. I've deleted my Twitter. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that I feel like I've always had opportunities to kind of have momentum in social media, but I've never had it except now. Right now, like the niche is, being a dad, 202, mental health. I want to get back into cycling. I think I've mentioned that before, but I want to get back into cycling. I haven't been on a bike since COVID. We used to bike all the time. Some of the guys, and I took a bad fall. It was a nice day. We were doing bridge to bridge, which is Bay Bridge to Golden Gate Bridge, and yeah, no helmet, being silly, biking. I remember it was we were on Barcadero in front of the ferry building. This was during COVID, so they had the outside markets, and there was a lot of people, a lot of stuff going in through in and out of traffic. Caught an edge, flipped over the bike. I don't want to say passed out, maybe passed out. Woke up, two guys coming to my aid, about to call the cops. Got dragged out of there, or I dragged myself out of there. But anyways, the fork on my bike was fucked up. Got a huge, it was bad, man. It was bad, and I'm not mad at that. I think I got so traumatized because it could have been super bad. I'm just glad I didn't get hit by a car. I didn't get run, whatever. Maybe I got a concussion. I just never really really acknowledged that shit. So, but yeah, no, the bike has been decommissioned, and I just never looked at it. And until I moved here, I got it out of my uncle's house, and then just thinking about either fixing it up or getting a new bike. But I do want to get back into cycling. I want to be outside. It's about to be summertime. It's spring right now, so allergies and me being sick, it's not a good combo. So summertime, me and the wife think about going out hiking a lot more with the baby. We got backpacks. She's got a Deuter. I've got an Osprey. Like we're gonna be outside. I don't think camping, but we'll be outside. I want to go back to cycling. I did a lot of walking. I do want to do running a little bit. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not a good runner. I've kind of dibble dabbled here and there. Kind of telling you about my story, but I'm not a good runner. I think that I've just never really given running a chance. Obviously I can run. It's not a disability that I have. It's just, I think I have a sense of anxiety from running. I ran in PE, high school, whatever. Obviously I was playing football, I did, wrestling and all that. But I think when I got to the military, there was just a negative. It was so negative. I was a slow runner. I run, I don't, well, I'm not going to say I don't fall out, but I fell out, fell out. I couldn't keep up. There's just stronger runners out there. I just never really focused on that. When I was in the military, I was really short, I was a thick boy. And yeah, I always lifted, you know, I was always working out, but I never did cardio, which is, yeah, I don't know if you know this, but you need a lot of cardio in the in the military. So, yeah, it was just so negative, and I think that really stuck with me. And I never really talked about that. You know, I brought it to my therapist recently, and I was like, you know, if you know what's going on outside this podcast, I run me, Juan, and Christian, we run the Bad Apples Run Club, and we're on our 5th event on May 3rd. So if this comes out before then, you know, shout out. But yeah, like I want to start running. I want to be out there with everybody. You know, like I know that it's cool to, you know, take photos and, you know, you get social media stuff, but I kind of want to run. I kind of want to be out there with you guys. I don't know. I kind of want to do a lot of things. I just got to really like focus in and lock in. You know, I get into these kind of stints a lot where it's like I'm having momentum and, you know, I feel good about myself. So I'm just going to, you know, try X, Y, and Z. But then like if you have so much on your plate, then I just end up burning out and I never really accomplish anything. So I think that's where I had to tell myself, like, you know, right now, I don't want to say let go or close the chapter, but I gotta pause on the podcast, you know, 20 episodes by myself, having awesome guests, and really closing the last 5 episodes with me and my wife. I think that's, I don't want to say that's a ideal way to close it out or pause, but I think that's good, you know, give a couple of months, being able to review and kind of see where we are, and maybe things will change, you know, maybe I get more, you know, maybe I get a better table, maybe you get more better equipment, maybe I get all the mics that I want to have more people on this podcast. But I'm starting to believe that I gotta, like, the goal is to eat, but it's also like, if I have so much on my plate, I can't focus on one thing. And so I really need to lock in the priorities, you know? And, you know, it's been tough, you know, because this is a sidebar, but, you know, recently, you know, like, at work, our boy Mo, he was like saying like, oh, like, you know, come out, you know, and everyone was like, tell me to come out and go drinking and, you know, go have a good time. And, you know, my priorities are just so different. I don't know if I could put myself in that situation, you know, and I get it, you know, you can go out and not have to drink, and I get that, but it's like, I want to drink and I want to wild out, you know, I want to spend time. I want to, you know, buy shots, and I want to, you know, dance. I want to go crazy. And so like, and I know that's not black and white, but it's like, if I do go out, I want to go out. You know, I don't want to call it an early fucking night. You know, I'm just, if my homie like went out and then called it an early night, I call him a bitch. And I'll be damned if I went out and then I get called a bitch for going out. You know, so it's just like, why would I want to put myself in that situation? You know, obviously not drinking and driving. I would take an Uber and all that stuff. But it's like, if I want to go out, I will go out. But like, my priorities are different. You know, I don't itch for it anymore. You know, the last time I drank was with my cousins, and like, we were just, you know, getting the kids together, and we were doing Trulies, you know. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't itch for it. I don't have the FOMO anymore. So, but yeah, you know, I'm just getting the house ready for the new baby. Gonna pause on the podcast. You know, I'm shooting everything for social media. I'm doing a lot of, you know, and what I've thought about was like, I need the prep. So before I start putting, you know, videos together, I need to start, I don't want to say, I guess vlogging is the right word, but I need to start, yeah, recording my day. You know, like when I got my shot yesterday, it's a follow up. So follow up shot. But yeah, I got my shot. You know, they had me stay in the waiting room for like an hour just because they, you know, if I had a reaction or this and that. I didn't have my daughter with me. So, and this is before work. And so it was like, how am I going to react, this and that. And I was recording myself because I was like, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, to see if there's any change in my eyes, or, if I, my throat starts swelling up or this and that. But it was like, I need to get better at talking in front of the camera, because I know that to get my story out there, to connect with people on the internet, to, get the views and engagements, there has to be a part of me that has to be revealed. And, I've always done the behind the camera stuff, and I'm realizing that, like, I need to get in front of the camera. I'm very self-conscious. I mean, damn, dude, like, to be honest, people can relate, but, like, I feel self-conscious about how I look on the internet. I feel like, my weight is one. Damn, I'm talking about some crazy stuff, but not really crazy, but this is real, like, my weight is one. I got some, image issues. And, I feel like if I stare at a camera for too long, like, people will know that I got a lazy eye, or, I always think I have a lazy eye. I don't know. And then I got eczema on my face and stuff like that. So I always feel like when people stare at me or people look at me too long, I feel like they're looking at my eczema. So it's like, I got issues, man. I'm not perfect, but I know what I want. I know that the change is coming. That's why I really am pushing myself to, get to this next part. And so, social media is going to be a big part of it. But right now, my priorities are, being at home, being a good dad, social media, create content, be outside more, and just really, like, be present. And, I think the self-love, it's got to come through either an activity. I did jujitsu for like a month and a half, and that was cool. I started going back to the gym. I did that for a month and a half. That was cool. And then right now, I took a month off, got getting sick. But I think I wanna get back into cycling, or I wanna start running. But I do need to be outside, and I told that to my wife. I was like, I just need to be in tune with myself, you know. I don't know what that looks like. That is a very interesting concept to me, because, if you know me, I'm always the one to take care of other people. So to tell myself, like, hey, I need time for myself, 2 hour bike ride, 30-minute run, you know, get the blood pumping. But also too, I do want to say this, man. Like, I wanted to tell I brought this up to my wife. It's like, one thing that I really realized was that I've let myself go, and, like, just let me cook real quick. um, but, like, I've been talking a lot about, like, overhealing, and I've, given myself grace and forgiveness. I really leaned into that, and, like, I'm realizing that, like, the overeating and the spending the money because I'm like, oh well, I'm sad, I'm sick. Like, those are the reasons why I feel like it's justification. So if I'm sick, I can order out, or if I'm sick, we can go out to eat, because it's like, I don't want to cook, I don't want to clean, this and that. So there's a justification part of it. I've been doing that for like 3 weeks now. Had the stuff with anaphylactic shock, been sick, this and that, been negative in my head. I've let myself go. I could feel myself bloating. I know that that sounds crazy. I'm not being mean to myself. I think I'm being real. I'm not calling myself, anyways, I'm not going to say that shit, but I let myself go. And I gave myself excuses saying that it was justified because I was sick and I was sad. But I was feeling like I was being tested. And yeah, like, low key, like, the last 3 weeks, with everything that happened, and I'm finally getting over it. It's like, I feel like I was, like, slowly killing myself, and, I do believe that, like, for a new life, like, your old one has to die. And, I'm truly believing that, especially with things that happen in my life, people that I've lost, people that can't look at me the same way. It's my old life. And it's uncomfortable, and and I feel like I'm still being tested to kind of go back to my old ways. My old life is trying to reach back out like, hey, bro, you're sick. Just go to McDonald's. Or you're sick. Go get, go eat at the food court. You're sick. Go, just because it's comforting. It's familiar. But I sit here now like, I still got the sniffles. I have a little light cough. And like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I got to close that out. I got to close that. I don't know. I just feel the change. It's in me, man. I don't know what it is. And like sometimes when you just kind of like sit in your bed and you just kind of look up and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? It kind of brings you back. You're like, what the fuck am I doing? I've been comfortable for too long. Like I haven't done, the hardest thing I've done this year has been the jujitsu. I can do hard shit. I've done hard shit. I've like, when I look back in my life, like I got to reflect and be like, yo, I fucking did that shit. Obviously, there was people in and out of my life and I didn't do it by myself, but I fucking did that shit. I fucking survived. And I got to remind myself like, yo, I got to get after it, man. Like just because I got the house, the car, the kids, the family, the wife, like whatever, I stopped focusing on my health. I stopped focusing on just getting after the next part of it, So this time of having my baby and actually being away from work, I think that will be powerful. I think that will be moving for me and my body and my soul. But yeah, I felt like my old life was really trying to like come back, It's a lot of temptations. And I'm not gonna lie, I almost gave in, Well, I mean, to be fair, I did give in, Drinking. Yeah, I mean, April was damn. April was a big month. I got sick, almost died, drank, ate a lot of fast food, spent a lot of money. Yeah. I'm really happy I'm redoing this episode because, no, that's good. I need to start saying out loud. And this is why these episodes are so important because I get to say it out loud. I have my therapy session. I be saying stuff for social media, like just documenting. I think that's a big part of it too, is just being in the car, propping up the phone and just like really talking about it. How am I feeling today? What I do. And I don't post that, but it's like, I need to be in front of the camera. I need to be okay with seeing myself on camera. And I need to be okay with looking at you in the face, because I'm like looking at this iPad. I'm like, keep looking at myself. And it's like, but I do believe that that's how it works, man. Like the action needs to happen to gain the confidence. I don't think it's the confidence to do the action because I don't know how you can gain confidence without doing any action. Right? Like the stuff I'm confident about is because I just said, fuck it. I did it. We ball kind of shit. And there's momentum in it. And then it's like, no, I've done that. I know how to do it. That's how I'm confident. But the first step is just action. You got to do it. So like, that's how I see with social media is like, I'm not confident now, but shit, the more repetitions I do with this podcast, the more repetition I have, dealing with life or cycling or social media or, talking in front of the camera, I know I'm going to be more comfortable with seeing myself. It's not perfect, though. I'm still fucking... Yeah, I hope I can... I've always felt jaded that I never really got the opportunity. And I brought this up to the podcast. It's like why I never got the opportunity to take the next step. With the people I was around, with the people that I brought with me. Why was I never given the opportunity for the next step? Why never I got the call to be on that film set? Why I never got to, get embedded with, hey, Rommel, do you want to, take your camera and, record this cross country runner, go in hotel, just kind of live in that life, an RV, we're going to be going state to state, I've always thought, hey, Rommel, we need another photographer for this, international piece. And, we're going to be shooting and, telling stories. It's just like, I never got that call, man. And I always thought that I had to be around people or network, or I had to be in a certain like peg. I'm realizing like, well, shit, I'm doing the podcast by myself. I got barely any friends. I don't really talk to my family a lot. Do social media, Maybe I've been trying to lean in with somebody else, but maybe it was just me all along. Maybe I just gotta lean into that. Do my own thing, And that makes me sad. I always want to bring people around with me. It's better with other people. But maybe that's the wrong way to look at it now. Maybe I need to, I don't want to say solo trip it, but I need to do it by myself. And hopefully one day, I can look back at all this, the social media, look back at my family, look back at this podcast and be like, yeah, Rommel, take a risk, bet on it. I'm faithful, I just lean into it. I think this is the first time I've actually been like, yo, like, I actually think I could do this. Not the momentum part, but actually putting myself out there. Yeah, man. I just gotta be real with myself. I gotta stop lying, Yeah. In that last episode, I was talking about, how I feel as a person with all the, the damage I've done to other people. And, I was in my, hopefully you get to see it one day, but, in the episode, I was just like, I'm not a good guy. I've never said I was a good guy. I'm a bad guy, I've hurt a lot of people. I've fucked over a lot. I've cheated on people. And, like, I think I was just sick of myself. And I'm still sick of myself. I'm just tired. I'm in my own way. I'm sick and tired of myself, man. And so, in a sense, it's poetic, low key. Seeing that negative shit be spilled out of me. And I was about to publish that shit on YouTube and say, like, you know what? People will enjoy this. I didn't even enjoy it. How the fuck is someone else supposed to enjoy it? You're listening to a guy for 30 minutes just be negative about himself. Now, I'm glad I pulled the episode. It still hurts me a little bit, but I know I pulled the episode for a good reason. So, yeah, other things that have been on my mind has been my father. My dad, he recently reached out to me and he was he was telling me, he was like, hey, Junior, my nickname is Junior, but Junior, trying to get my gun license, this and that. He just wanted me to take him. And I told him, I was like, man, like, first of all, I'm on the other side of the bridge. Like, I'm not just going to take you over there, But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, you can do this, man. Like, I told him, I was like, you can do this. Like, this is like, it's like less than 50 questions. You can do this. Like, it's all common sense. My dad, he's an orphan. I think I've said this before on the podcast. He's an orphan, and he he lacks self-confidence, and he plays it safe. You know, he has another family, plays it safe. You know, he's had the same job for a long time. He plays, you know, he's doing all right. And I'm not here to knock anybody. And maybe when he was saying like, "Oh, yo, like let's go get, you know, like take me to take my test," maybe that was him trying to hang out. But you know, I got strong boundaries from my dad. You know, I think that that's something that I just can't cross. You know, he left me for another family. Um, my mom's left me when, you know, I was young too. So to have him be like, "Yeah, I'll never leave you," to him actually fucking leaving me, it's like, yeah, that hurts. Shit, that shit hurts more. I don't know if I've ever said that, but yeah, yeah. So yeah, you know, and then I was telling him, I was like, "You got this," you know. I was telling him, I was like, you know, I walked him through it, like I kind of broke it down Barney style. I was like, "Look, you're gonna go in there, you're gonna talk to somebody, you're gonna say, hey, I want to take the test," you know, because I've taken my test there. I was like, I know how it goes, and my homie also works there too. So I told him, I was like, "Oh, yo, you know, look, you know, ask for him." I don't know what it is. I think like Filipinos just feel better when those are the Filipino, or I don't know, like just the same race. But yeah, I was like, "Yo, look for him." You know, I was with my cousins and stuff like that. My dad calls and he's like, "Hey, thanks for the advice. You know, pass the test, this and that." And he was talking to me like, "Oh, what about guns and this?" I was like, you know, I was with my cousins and we were drinking, and I was like, and I don't want to say I'm desensitized. I think I just like, I can see he's trying, and I just like, yeah, I brought this up to my therapist recently. I was like, "Are we ever gonna get back to the place, you know, before he left?" She said, "No." Am I ever gonna have that connection with my pops again? No. Do you ever think that you can get back to those feelings with your past relationships? No. I don't think I can, you know. I'm, I want to say there's a different Rommel in front, but it's true, you know. I lowball myself. Oh, you've changed so much. It's not. Yeah, man. I know, man. I hate that corny shit, bro. I hate corny shit like, so, "Oh, man, no one really changes." It's not. I did. That's why we're not having the same conversations anymore, bro. I know I can be funny. I know I can shoot the shit. I know I can be there, and I know I can wild out. But like at the core of it, that's not who I am anymore. You know. You know, my dad's old. You know, not old, but he says crazy shit. He says crazy shit. That's fine. He used to get a reaction out of me when I was younger. And now I just nah, I guess I not give a fuck, but I guess I just those jokes aren't funny anymore. You know, the shit that we were talking about is like it's not hitting the same as it used to. And a big part of my story is because that side had to die, you know, to get here. All that pain, all that hurt, it had to happen, you know. If someone goes through enough fucking trauma in their life, yeah, they're gonna fucking change. Look, man, I'm sitting here right now telling you that you can have everything and still be searching for something. You know, I'm happy with what I have. I'm grateful. But there's a lot of soul searching I still gotta do, and there's a lot of things I gotta figure out because the therapy doesn't stop. The healing doesn't stop. The conversation does not stop. And you know what my wife said on my podcast, on the last podcast, was true. You know, what is the main goal? Don't lose yourself. And I fucking lost myself on that last episode. maybe a couple episodes ago. I just kind of wasn't talking about the real shit, the mental health part of it. I need to get back to the core, asking the hard questions with my guests. Really challenge them and be like, yo. So yeah, shout out to my wife for reminding me to get back to the core of this podcast. The reason why I wanted to do it. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually beautiful because episode 17 with myself, I was so sick and I was being so negative, and I thought that that would be a good representation of my mental health at that time. And then episode 18, when I shot it with my wife, and I was sick, and then she was sick, and then I was telling her, she's like, just don't forget why you're doing it. And I think that's what triggered me to be like, look at the episode 17 and just be like, that's not good for this podcast. That's not good for me. I don't think it's powerful at all. I think it's fucking trash. So I pulled it, replaced episode 18 with episode 17, and now I'm doing episode 18. And I feel better. I feel good because I'm in a different spot. I think the goal is to not take medicine and be delusional before I do this podcast. You know, I thought that shit was over because last time I did it, I was taking NyQuil and I was drinking, so I was mixing it and I was just fucking being crazy. It all happens for a reason, man. And I think in a big part of it, I don't want to say that's me hiding it, but that's me kind of letting go of that negative part of myself. Talking negative about myself, man. What he said, what was a video I watched? It was about Bruce Lee saying, like, you can't say negative things because it casts spells, you know? And get back to a place of positivity, a place of where this mental health is giving me more insight in my life. I'm a complex human being, you know? I'm not normal. I don't know what the fuck normal looks like because I'm not normal. And I can tell you right now, if you listen to this and you get to the end of the podcast and you're like, what the fuck did I just listen to? Well, I'm just glad that you were here. I was glad you were here, man. I'm glad you got to spend time with me. Fucking 9 o'clock in the morning, I got work at 12. I'm sniffling. I've been sick for the last 2-3 weeks. April has been fucking, I got beat up. The beginning of Easter was pretty cool though, because, you know, Easter Sunday and, you know, we had the Bad Apples Run Club and it was a great ass time. And then after that, got sick, anaphylactic shock, got sick. It was just fucking insane. So I'm glad to wrap up this fucking crazy ass month, man. You know, shout out to my wife. You know, our 2-year anniversary is in April, so we got to celebrate that. Shout out, I gave a shout out to Victor, but Victor's graduation. Proud of you, man. Love you. I can't wait to see you and just be a part of all your accomplishments, man. I love you, and I'm just ready to see you in this next chapter of life, and I love you. I don't know if you're ever gonna watch this, but I do love you, man, and you've saved me, you know. And if I could ever redo your best man speech, I would, man, because I fucking crying like a baby. But you saved me a lot, man. Now without you, Victor, I think that I think I honestly, bro, I think I'd be homeless. Um, I think I'd still be cruising around. But thank you for taking me in when I didn't have anybody. So Yeah, man, April. Let's just wrap up April, bro. Let's just fucking wrap up April. Let's get into May. You know, I'm fucking dude. My wife's already on maternity leave. I fucking don't want to go to work anymore, but I still gotta go to work. But I just I gotta do the baby bag. It's a lot, man. You know, I gotta put back together the bassinet. I'm trying to find some zip ties because I got some fucking wire management. So there's a lot going on, man. You know, and you know, I wanna say this directly. I know that we're at 50 minutes right now, and you know, I feel good. You know, kind of sets the pace for the rest of the day. But I want to tell you, if you listen to this podcast, it's not too late, man. You know, you can, like, for me, I feel like I'm a novice. Like, it's crazy because I feel like I'm a novice with social media. I'm researching. I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to figure out the algorithm. Like, I've been looking at more data than I've ever looked at. Hooks, you know, engagement. Like, what does it take? This shit takes a minute, man. And you know, right now I'm editing a lot of stuff in my back catalog, which is stuff that I shot in like 2025. So I'm just catching up to 2026, and like I want to start posting like consistently. I want to do like a 30 day challenge, and I want to do that. You know, I want to tell myself like I can consistently do that. I mean, obviously it's not going to be every day for 3 years, but I mean it's like I want to do it consistently for the as much as I can. But I want to make strong content, quality content. Um, but I just want to document my family too, man. My family's life. Oh yeah, what I was gonna say was, if you're thinking about doing social media, bro, I haven't even done it yet, but I already know that, like, I'm gonna have fun doing it. Like the goal isn't, and the goal has never been money, right? The goal is not money. The goal is not to, well, because if Instagram or TikTok gets like pulled away, like then there's there's the job right there. So that's it's not about money. This podcast isn't about money. The stuff that I do has never been about money. It's about how you feel, right? Right? It's like all the videos, all the photos I've taken, film, on my iPhone on the FX3. It's like I never get to put it out in the world, and now I'm realizing I'm like I need to put it out in the world. You know, I need to put myself out there. And it's uncomfortable. It's hard, but I gotta do it because I need to get after it. And that's what I'm saying. Like it's uncomfortable. You gotta do hard stuff. You gotta take the action to be confident. I've never been confident on social media. I've never been confident in front of a camera, but I'm doing it now. So what I'm trying to say is that like it's not too late. You know, like if you want to start social media, I haven't even. There's no part of success, but you need to like try. You need to take the action. You need to fucking shoot, I don't know, 40 small 7-second clips of your day. Go download the Edits app, put that shit together, throw on music, and upload that shit, bro. Put everything in a 1 second, 0.5 second, kind of timeline. Make sure there's an action. Maybe there's a creative hook or, something silly to say, but just fucking do it, bro. Because I'm tired of holding myself back on things. I feel like I lost a lot of opportunities. I feel like the motherfucker that didn't put in the work got the opportunity because I fucking hesitated. All the interviews, all the things that I could do, I fucking hesitated because I was in my fucking head. And I just want the best for you, man. If you got this far in this episode, I just want the best for you. So I need you to fucking try because, yo, man, I'm not going to be, I don't know what the future holds, man. I don't know if I'm going to be at the job that I'm working at right now. I don't know. That's why what I said on the last podcast with my wife was like, yo, like, you got to check up on each other, man. This is shit's for real. Like, that's how I felt when I left the military. Like, yo, like, where's the bonding? Where's the, like catching on my military? But I was like, what happened when I left? What happened? What's up with the barbecues? What's up with going to, 6th Street in Austin? What's up? Like, you guys are not in the barracks fucking with each other. And that's why I hope, man, like, oh, man. It's obvious that I care too much. I just, in the pit, HBO movie or show, um, Dr. Robbie, he spoiler alert, but for season 2, he's thinking about leaving, and whole season, he's trying to prep everybody for his departure, because he doesn't think he's gonna come back, and yeah, he he hopes that when he leaves, everything will kind of be the same. I Maybe I care too much. Maybe that's why I text everybody, ask how people are doing. Maybe I text everybody and say like, "Hey, I love you." Maybe it's always been like that. Maybe I've always just cared more than the other person. But that's okay. The moment I stop caring, I stop fucking with you, you're not gonna hear from me. I'm gonna be moving different around you. I don't want that. The end is coming near. I can feel it. I have a lot of thoughts. I know this chapter's closing, and I know I'm right around the corner from a new life, new perspective, new thoughts, new everything. And so I need to really start leaning into that. I'm so happy that I got to be in a better mindset and do this podcast. Thank you for the opportunity to thank you for the opportunity just to talk, say my bullshit. I got next week with my wife, and then one more episode with me. And it's like Dr. Robbie on the pit. It's kind of prepping you guys. I wish I could say that we could end on a high note, but I'm sad. Third to last episode. So I love you guys. Yeah. Let's keep going. Let's have fun while we're here. Love you guys. Thanks for being here.